Welcome to Module 7 in Fundamentals of Chemistry. This module is titled Succeeding in College Chemistry, and it is the final module of this open course. Thanks so much if you've made it this far for hanging in with me. And in this module, we're going to look at chemistry in college as a whole, talk about general study strategies, some common misconceptions that people have about chemistry in general, and then we're going to revisit some of those lingering questions that you'll address in your future chemistry courses or adjacent subjects like material science and engineering, chemical engineering, or whatever you might have in your future that is chemically inclined. In this first video, we're going to look at some common misconceptions about the study of chemistry as a field, as a discipline, that kind of thing. And the first misconception that I'm going to highlight is a very common one. Chemistry is just math. This misconception is actually grounded in reality to some extent because introductory chemistry courses are full of math. Stoichiometry calculations, dimensional analysis, things like this do permeate the introductory chemistry curriculum. And a lot of that involves algorithmic problem solving. But what you'll find, and I hope the open course here has given you a bit of a taste of this, is that developing conceptual understanding, for example, an understanding of the submicroscopic situation, what the atoms and molecules are doing with each other, is going to make things much easier than just memorizing a process for solving a particular type of problem. In reading and processing problems in introductory chemistry and beyond, you really want to develop a robust picture of the submicroscopic situation. That's going to be what endures in your chemical education, not memorizing a process to solve a particular type of problem in, I don't know, stoichiometry or calorimetry or any specific field like that. So we want to visualize the submicroscopic situation. That's the second bullet point here. And then when you're engaged in process-based problem solving, ask yourself the question at each stage, why am I taking this step? It's helpful in some contexts to actually diagram out the steps before you even get started. What steps am I going to take? How are the steps related to each other? And what's the overarching goal? Asking those kinds of questions will help you tackle these processes rationally, right? And establish enduring learning instead of something you're going to just memorize, use on a test, and immediately forget. So chemistry is much more than just math, and as you advance through your chemistry education beyond the introductory level, you'll start to see this more and more. Now, you may be thinking to yourself at this point, I won't use any of this later. Why do I have to take chemistry? Well, introductory chemistry is not only important from a citizen science point of view, from a scientist citizen, a citizen as a scientist point of view, just for general education, but also is an essential foundation for a wide variety of other areas, material science and engineering, pharmaceutical sciences, any sort of health science, right, nursing, and then of course, organic chemistry, biochemistry, and chemical engineering, those more kind of traditionally chemical disciplines. And the skills you develop in introductory chemistry will often be kind of expected to be automatic later on in your chemical education. So for example, when you get to organic chemistry labs, the assumption that you can do basic stoichiometry is pretty much baked in. The assumption you can use molar mass and use molar ratios and balance chemical equations is under the surface of that course when you show up on day one. The other thing I'll mention here is that the strategies you develop for studying and solving problems in chemistry may transfer to your other courses, and this is always something to be aware of, that actually the types of problems that you'll encounter are related across courses. Chemistry, biology, even math and physics, the same types of problems pop up in different places, and when you're seeing something that's not actually new because you've seen it before in a chemistry course, you want to be able to recognize that. And when you notice that, that's an example of what we call transfer, taking learning in one context and applying it to another. Now, misconception number 3, I'm not a chemistry person. When I tell people I'm a chemistry professor, I hear this a lot, right? I just wasn't a chemistry person, or chemistry wasn't for me. Chemistry wasn't my thing, and all the zillion iterations on that theme. Success in any new endeavor, whether it's chemistry or absolutely anything else, requires you to have a growth mindset, right? It requires you to come in with the belief that I'm not where I want to be right now, but I can get there by the end of some period of time. right? You want to be able to keep an open mind, change your approach to studying if things aren't working, and be adaptable as you move through your chemistry courses. Now, you don't always have to put a smile on and treat everything with rose-colored glasses. You won't like everything you learn, pretty much regardless of the context. I mean, even for experts, I will still in faculty meetings see expert chemists, people with doctoral degrees in chemistry or biochemistry, quibble over petty divisional stuff. Organic chemistry is better than physical chemistry. Analytical chemistry is better than theoretical chemistry, right? It's all a little bit tongue-in-cheek when you get there, but all it's to say that none of us, even those of us with PhDs in chemistry, like every single aspect of this massive field. And so this is a completely normal affliction, quote unquote. It's something you want to notice, right? Because you may need to put extra effort or motivation into those parts of the subject that you don't enjoy as much. But it's completely normal, and it's something you're going to come across.